The Lost Signals looks at
This
horror films
is God.
that were the early roles of famous actors.
You've been
And another Halloween sequel
I think Michael is under the influence of an evil rune.
with in-depth analysis,
Trite, rhetorical, cliched, inane.
adult content,
Sniff it or he shoots you.
adult language,
He played pogo on his lawn.
and spoilers.
My birth cry will be the sound of every phone on this planet ringing in unison.
Join us.
Welcome back, guys and ghouls, to MOTS-O-Ween 2020. And tonight, I am Scott Thurlow, and I'm here with my fellow mischievous ruffians who are opening up a gate to hell, Rich Perry
Good evening.
and Jonathan Ian Manzer.
We're doing the perfect thing in breaking quarantine to actually film an old school episode.
That's right. And indeed, we're doing The Gate from 1987, which is Rich's pick, which, personal aside, I also like this film, so we'll get into that. But, yeah, that is our selection, and starring Stephen Dorff and other people. And so with that, I'm going to go to E for the log line.
Goonies 2, A Bogus Journey.
Yep, I like it. Mine's going to be Stephen Dorff digs a well to hell. But, yeah, so it's pretty, kind of like not too complicated. So given that E, why don't you go on with the actual plot?
So the screenwriter, in attempting to justify his habit of enjoying bottle rockets, crafted a movie about a young Stephen Dorff with an old man Stephen Dorff face.
You mean Stephen Dorff's face from his entire life?
Yes. Is he a young boy living in suburbia? He and his buddy basically find a portal to hell, accidentally summon demons, and he, the friend, and the sister, and occasionally other people enter the fray to figure out a way to stop the demons. And sometimes they think they won, but they didn't until they do win.
Motherfucking demons never die.
Exactly. So it's the YA version of Army of Darkness, or or any of the Evil Deads.
That's a good one too. That could have been a log line.
And here's the thing. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a great movie, and it's fairly boring at times. And I have to compare it to other movies of its era, such as Neverending Story, Labyrinth, things like that.
Magical children's stories, YA stories.
Goonies, things like that.
Sure.
And this one is a poor man's version of those films. So, a 2. Because it's just, to me, a mediocre narrative. In fact,
I thought you were going to go with a 1.
I might. I was kind of doing that because really the ending is just, like, for the last half an hour or so of this 88-minute movie or whatever, it's them attempting multiple ways to stop the demons, kind of making it up as they go along. But there is an element of like a Nightmare on Elm Street where they're using their imaginations to be, and that's how they beat it, and being an innocent child. So yeah, maybe unless you can give a tepid 2.
Well, Rich, your pick. What do you think?
I have to agree with Ian with 2. Like, it's been a while since I've seen this movie, and I was looking forward to watching it again. And I did not remember. I at least forgotten how much dragged throughout, because they're like
there's some
solid moments. Yeah, there's some solid moments, and then a lot of dead air in between, like right up until they it seems like they were like dragging their feet to get to like the real meat of the movie, which was the last half hour.
Yep.
But I think taking that last half hour and like the several points of like laughs and genuinely creepy moments in the beginning and middle, I'll give it a 2.
Yeah, I'm going to generally agree with you guys. It's funny because off cast when you suggested this, Rich, I was like, yeah, good pick. I remember like seeing The Gate when I was like probably 13, like about Stephen Dorff's age in the film, like more or less, and kind of enjoying it, and seeing it like once or twice after that. And yeah, I think it's just enough of a line, like, again, in my mind, like, mathematically, 1.75, enough for a 2. Like, it's fine. It's there. Like you said, like, it exists.
I would actually put it at strictly a 1.5.
Yeah.
It's like, I think that's
Sure.
exactly what this film is.
And that's fine, too.
And
but,
I'm going to be give it the benefit of the doubt
Yeah.
and round it up.
again, I'm basically following suit with both you guys. And yeah, I think we're all giving it, like, just enough of a 2. Like, just good enough to give us a 2 on plot. And it works for the most part, even if there's, like, lulls and lackluster points to it. So, all right, so that's 2s all around for plot. And I guess I should move on to themes. I don't know, man, like, this one's difficult. I'm leaning towards a 0, just because the nature of this film, its brevity, like you said, right? It's 88 minutes and 87, if you will. So, I mean, I guess it's like friendship, like coming together, friendship and family, like overcoming evil. But that's so fucking generic, right? Like, that could be applied to anything. And you've seen other films like this that are like, that did it better, like that addressed that sort of like angle much more specifically. So, I'm leaning towards a 0. I'm not dead set on it, but that's my initial reaction.
And the thing I noticed throughout this whole movie is that I was waiting for the horror tropes where like the family, like the parents didn't listen, or like the sister was an asshole,
Yeah.
or his best friend, like, but like everybody that mattered to him was very nurturing.
They did rally.
Gave very good advice
behind it, right?
and like rallied behind him at every point that he needed. So there really wasn't a lesson for him to learn at all. Like the whole process of them opening up the gate in the first place was just a series of unfortunate
It was
events.
accidents, yeah.
That just accidentally happened.
That's
Like it wasn't
true.
like they set out, like the second they found out that it might be possible, they went to work trying to close it. Like, oh, we might have accidentally done this.
Yeah.
Like what? Like there really is no lesson. Like there was no, like the rock, even if the rocket that he used, which was a physical representation of the love between him and his sister. Like they didn't really grow apart.
And
though.
even all of them, but like,
yeah. They didn't. That wasn't like an earned epiphany at the end.
Yeah.
Because she like when she left the first time, she skipped out going on the beach to use all of her money to buy him a rocket that they fired off immediately.
Chekhov's magical
exactly, like exactly what he wanted to do at the beginning of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
no, you're right.
So one, as I said before, I think this is just a justification for someone like, see, model rockets are cool.
Can kill demons.
And they're not. Oh. But also, I do like the fact that the demon summoning, generally when you deal with kind of
shit like this.
I don't even know if they're demons. They could just be gremlins living under the ground.
They specifically said they were old god demons.
I know, but like, could you imagine if they were just like mole people that just happened to be living under there, and like the reason they were attacking them is because they hated being called demons?
Yeah, maybe
people have been doing this since so tired.
But either way, like they equate to demons. So
the point of that though is generally demons are creatures of temptation. They're the corruption of humanity.
Sure.
This was not about intention. This was strictly ritual. This was, as you mentioned, Rich, like, you could accidentally end the world. Actually, 3 people could accidentally end the world. If someone trips, like, stubs their toe and bleeds a little bit, someone else, you bury your pet out there, and like, you could accidentally summon these
little
things.
bit of Pet Cemetery.
And that's the antithesis of what demonic stories are about. There's no temptation. It's completely performative ritual.
Even Hellraiser, like
happenstance.
Like a Pinhead of all people, is just like when they in the second movie when they get the girl to solve the puzzle, and he's just like he spares her because like she's not the one. It wasn't her intention to open the puzzle.
Yeah.
She just did it. Where after the guy whose intention it was.
So that's a really good point too. Giving this a 0, that there is no greater meaning to the accident, unless. And this is not a nihilistic film. This isn't it's
got optimism.
Yeah,
sure.
but that kind of randomness works if it's intending to be kind of a very nihilistic downer. Oh, people accidentally destroy the world because of their
kind of thing.
Yeah, like but there's no morality here. It's just a adventure film.
No, I mean, I think you guys are right. Yeah, like, even, it might not have been the intention to have, like, a message or whatever, like, maybe a fun romp, but the fact that it is bereft of one, I think, we agree upon 0s. And I think that makes sense. All right, so that means we'll move on to antagonists. Rich, who or what are the antagonists of the gate?
The antagonists of the gate. So I was going to say teenagers, but
That's every horror film ever.
They're pretty big assholes, and they did like have their hand in summoning the demons. But I guess the demons, like they're good faceless evil.
Yeah.
Like they didn't. I don't even know. I mean, they didn't really do much. Like they destroyed. They were basically like. They're more like a. They were kind of like like Gremlins.
Yeah,
where they just like they showed up. Yeah, they showed up, did some property damage, played some pranks, and then just like fucking went back to hell.
That's really funny.
But at least Gremlins was a discussion of economics and the movement of manufacturing outside of the U.S. This was bereft of anything.
All right, so I see both you guys' points, and like. I'm going to cut out the difference, and I'm going to lean towards a very soft one. But, I mean, Stephen Dorff and his sister and his friend Terry were antagonized by demons. Now, like, certainly your mileage might vary, but I think, like, in terms of the narrative of the film, they felt it. Now, yes, sometimes they felt it less than other times, but as you mentioned, Rich, especially at the very end, like, yeah, it kind of ramped itself up a bit. And I think they overcame, at least if thematic elements didn't work, at least they fought the enemy within the universe of the film, which was a threat to them. So
it's true, but like I also feel like they got way too happy of an ending. Like they got like it's fine that his sister and his best friend were saved, but their dog came back to life too.
Yeah,
let's bring everybody back.
Kind of randomly there, like I don't know, like maybe
like we were joking,
yeah.
like. What if Terry's mom should have came back too at that
yeah,
point?
might as well do that too. Like I guess. I mean, you're right. Like maybe that's like a plot thing to me. But
have you ever seen Kiss Kiss Bang Bang? At the end, the one guy survives. Like, let's bring it back. They have Abraham Lincoln and Elvis walk in.
we were just joking, just for precast. Like it's a fucking Wayne's World thing. Like let's have the whole ending where everyone's back.
See, here's the thing: is this movie's actually incredibly effective for about 10 minutes with the antagonist. The haunting section when the pictures are warped and it's actually some very there's some very effective uncanniness going on there, and then
that's
once
style though to me
I'm going to give credit there.
Okay.
The thing is, as much as I love claymation and stop motion and all of that, the minute the demons were physically manifested, I grew bored with the villain. They didn't feel threatening. They were basically the people from Legends of the Hidden Temple and just grab you and drag you off the screen.
Okay.
So I'm probably going to give this a 0.
Okay. Rich, what's your final assessment of given that argument?
Oh man, that's definitely I'm giving it a 0 because like the one way they could have saved it was to have, because they were building up the head demon.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what his name was. It was just like one of them.
Did they even name him? I don't even know.
They did.
Okay.
They gave him a name.
I
They said he's unimaginably tall,
Sure.
and like very powerful. And like literally all he did was just like pat him on the head and say, "Thanks, son, for bringing me out to the other side," and then like left him alone. And then even let himself get shot by the fucking rocket. Like all he did was like
vaguely taunt them.
Yeah,
almost.
he picked him up and like held him upside down a couple times, and then dropped him on a couch. And like that was the extent of him.
No, I mean I don't disagree.
And the fact that they were so effective with the haunting scenes makes it a disappointment for
Even
how
more so.
the antagonists worked for the last half hour, 20 minutes.
You guys make super good points, and I was going to push back against it, but I think having talked it out and listened to you, I had one written down as my score, but yeah, I'm going to change maybe a soft 0, but like, and like, I'm trying to not let my nostalgia, like, in my childhood memories of this film, like, influence me too much, but yeah, logistically and reasonably, it's not enough there, so we're gonna go with 0s on that. Alright, E, so I'll bring you to protagonists, or ists.
oddly enough, Stephen Dorff plays a cliche in this. It seems that in the 80s, the bowl cut sweater wearing.
It's everywhere you want to be.
Have you noticed there's always a red sweater too?
Yeah,
I have noticed that. Yep. Even Danny, one of you mentioned like
Shining. Yeah. But here's the thing: is I was that kid growing up. I had the bowl cut. Mm-hmm. I had the sweater.
What do you mean had? Go on.
I have the after he faces some of the demons, this sweep over. But I don't know, because one, he's perhaps the least interesting part of the film, but he's also the blank face for you to project yourself onto.
When you're 12 and you see this film, you're going to see yourself as Stephen Dorff.
And his old man face is fascinating to watch. I'm sorry, I can't get over it. It's just like
I understand, dude.
Probably the most terrifying part of this film was that. But you know what? I might be tempted to give this a 1 because he played the role that he was supposed to, and just allow yourself to put your to identify and insert yourself in it.
Here's I'm gonna offer more evidence. I'm looking at a 1, and on top of that, here's why. He's not like he makes smart enough decisions given within the realms and the information that the whole film sets up, right? The world of it. Once he figures out, like, he takes it in stride, like, oh, demons? Okay. How do we fight them? With my best friend who apparently knows about that. Right? So, like, I was almost going to give Terry, his best friend, like, credit in protagonist category, but it's either that or his sister, Alexandra. Like, they almost form a trifecta, if you will, right? So, like,
it's hard to separate them from the protagonist role.
Exactly.
Because
so,
they get just as much screen time. Mm-hmm. Like, he might edge them out by
a minor amount,
right?
Yeah,
a minor amount. Like, he had that opening scene, and then, like, they both walked in on the scene, right afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. So, in that sense, like, I might split it 3 ways, at the very least 2 ways, whether it's Stephen Dorff as Glenn and Terry, or Stephen Dorff and his sister. They all contribute, like, they're the core group who at least figures it out, like, again, takes it in stride. Okay, demons, now what? How to figure it out. They collectively use their skills to fight them and beat them. So, I'm just saying, like, I'm leaning over maybe a soft 1, but I don't think I can, in all, like, somewhat, all things in balance, give it a 0 to protagonist, so. What do you think, Rich? Same thing?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So 1's all around on that, and that'll bring me back.
What does that mean for secondary now?
So it's going to bring me to secondary. So this one's interesting, you're right. Assuming we lump at least 2 out of the 3, if not all 3, then you're left with, like, the skeezy guy that Alexandra, his girlfriend, likes, and, like, the party, and, like, her best friends, I guess, the 2 Lisa twin sisters, like, who are there as, like, one-dimensional at best characters. Their parents are there for 5 minutes at most.
I'm sorry. I apologize for keep bringing up other movies for this, but you ever see Killer Clowns from Outer Space?
Of course.
Mm-hmm. You know the 2 brothers who have the ice cream machine? Like, it's the exact same character in a way. Like, nothing really to do with the plot. They're just in the background to flesh out and have extra...
because it's an 80s horror movie.
Yeah.
No, I agree. So, like, that probably means I'm leaning towards, like, a softer 0 on this one. Again, they didn't suck by any means, but they are not standout. They don't contribute much. They don't have any arcs, of course. Like, they literally run away, at least the sisters, at some point. Right? And the rest of it, like, I guess maybe the dog Angus has, like, the best arc. If you're counting an animal as a secondary character.
Well, he knew the most information. Like, he understood in that first section.
He was sensing the demons, like, far out, for sure. But, like, I don't know.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Angus just straight up found another dog that looked like him and dropped him on their doorstep and just pieced the fuck out on his own vacation.
Fuck this family. Yeah. So, yeah, all that is really funny, but I think it's going to mean I'm going to lean towards a 0 on this question.
I didn't include Terry in this and Alexandra. Yeah, and here's the thing is, I liked Alexandra as a character. I thought she actually had a decent arc. Yeah, granted, she was never really separated from her brother, but she was being pulled, and she chose family over friends. Terry, though.
His name's Terry, baby.
I am flummoxed by this character.
Okay.
He's a nerd and a punk rocker.
Punk rock nerd.
But the stereotypes of both.
He's like Jason from SLC Punk. Rich knows what I'm talking about.
No, he's not. He's like
No, because he doesn't have the fucking
hardcoreness.
crackhead strength.
All right.
No, it's more like Poindexter from
Revenge of the Nerds.
Decided to become a greaser one day.
No, like that look that he had during the concert when he spiked his hair out.
Yeah.
It didn't work for me. The conflict in his character wasn't interesting.
Too much of a
it was just a clash, and it was distracting. And I got way too much screen time, and I'm sorry, and then on top,
you want to be sorry to me?
The mixture of all the other awful characters in this, the sister couldn't save it.
The 80s, like sort of a daiquiri, if you will. What do you think, Rich?
I'm definitely giving it 0. Like
Okay.
I did consider Al and Terry as protagonists. So there was nothing. There was nothing left, except I guess maybe the construction guys for starting this whole thing in the first place.
Yeah, I'm gonna give them a fucking one, buddy.
And then peacing out. By the way, no way they found in one day a construction crew to come in and clean out that.
I think it was implied they were doing it for a couple of days, but I don't know.
No, he woke up surprised at the noise of the chainsaws.
Or maybe it's been going on for a while. It doesn't really matter. The point is we're given secondary a 0. And we shall move on. Oh, this is a good one. This is for you.
Maybe it turns out they are Satanists that have been
Yeah, they're the secret
it's like it'd be funny like as the camera's pulling out, she's like, you know what? I don't think Mom and Dad ever called a construction crew to take care of that tree.
You remember Mom and Dad called these guys? No, do you? I mean, again, a good alternate script part of it, but we're sticking with 0s, looks like, for secondary. So, Rich, tell us about the motherfucking dialogue.
Ugh.
Uh-huh.
Oh, man. It was there.
People said shit.
People said things to move the plot along.
Mm-hmm.
I guess if... No, not like the album, like the part with the album when he's like getting the whole backstory of everything. Like that's not even enough to save it.
It's pure exposition, anyways. Like regardless of what he's
It's
saying,
not even enough to save it. Like the jokes aren't funny. They're way too dated, including the homophobia.
Yeah. Offensive terms are being bandied about here in this movie.
And it's just
Now you're right.
Yeah. And pretty much everything that every character says is in service to the one-dimensionalness of that character.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Like his dad says dad stuff, his mom says mom stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like all of Al's asshole friends say asshole friend things.
Yep, no, you're right, Goody.
Except for some background characters. There are a couple of lines that might have been thrown in later that made me laugh.
You talking about
like
the girl?
The illusion thing?
Like, when they had the party, it was like, hey, someone get that dog a beer.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know why.
It's randomly there, but...
I know, but like occasionally there were like lines thrown in.
Sure.
Which are just like, hey, and that was the most memorable thing to me about the dialogue was the random background lines that might have been dubbed in later.
Does that mean it's a 0 for you?
Yeah, it has to be if that's what I remember off of it.
Of course, I agree with both of you. Like, yes, all right. It's not cringeworthy. Or there are certain terms, like I said, as you mentioned, Rich, that we were like, damn, like that's the sign of the times. But even so, like, just in general, it's all just like dragging you along. Like they're gonna say this shit, like whatever. Like nothing's memorable. Nothing's like stand out. it's just there. Like, if I was more forgiving, I might give it a soft 1, but I'm going to go with a soft 0.
See, here's the funny part about it is that oftentimes I'll see films that try to capture the language of the youth, and they don't know how to write it. You know what? For all of its offensiveness and all of its like really dated usage, like at times I'm like, yeah, like granted, yes, this movie's a couple years older than me, but that's how kids speak. They tell.
You were 1 year old when this movie came out.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you use offensive language, you make terrible diss tracks.
You're a
to each other
dumbass little
and stuff.
scumbag asshole when you're 10 years old, 11 years old.
You know what?
Is that going to switch you?
It might actually do, because I actually think that for all of its cringiness, it actually, I felt, is one of the more accurate representations of how kids actually speak. They think they're clever and they're not. They think they're wise. They think they're like just shit.
Sure.
Yeah. So
that is a fair point. It almost made me reconsider, my friend, but I'm going to go with a 60-40 split, 60 being like bland and offensive and 40 being like all right at best, I guess, but it's not going to sway me, but it's good that you swayed yourself, apparently.
I'm sticking with my 0.
Yep, I'm with you, buddy. All right, so let's move on then. Moving along to style, that'll be you, E.
I've already said this, there are moments in this film that work really well. And there was promise in these
potential
scenes. Again, the haunting is the part I'll say. Even the slow build-up of introducing characters. But there's pacing issues with this for being a short film. There are narrative gaps, or like filler scenes in such a short film. And it's not even... Yes, it's dated. Yes, you can't judge it, but I have to judge it to other movies of that time, and it doesn't match up. So I might have to give this a 0.
All right. I'm leaning towards a softer 1, and I guess I'll somewhat rebut you, because here's why. I always like, and we even said it while watching, like, we like a good claymation, like stop motion stuff, right? And like, I think the shots in general are fine. I don't remember much of a soundtrack, except, of course, in the scene, like, in universe when they're playing death metal stuff. But like, maybe this is where my bias / generosity is going to like give it just enough credit to give it, again, a softer 1, because I was never like rubbed the wrong way, or like, even though we were like sort of MSTKing the movie like throughout, in general, I think it still works okay. And like, yeah, like, I think I said like, oh, they're ripping off Nightmare on Elm Street when like demons are coming through the wall, but I still think that looked fine.
But there were no stakes to any of that.
Yeah, and
that adds to an element of a wasted potential.
I kind of agree with that.
It's almost like they lowered the stake. As soon as it got to a peak, they just lowered the stakes almost immediately.
Yeah, but I feel like my argument to you guys is that means that's why we took away from plot, or like that falls into plot in my mind, not quite style per se. So all I'm saying is that's my argument. I think I'm rather solidly within the realm of a soft 1 for style at this point because of that, and like that's the way I'm viewing it. So,
all right, then it does change me. 1 for plot and
and 1 for here too,
and a 1 for style, because your argument is sound. Is that if it's stripped, if the stripping of stakes is not a product of style but a product of narrative, then this didn't hold up to the promise of what this movie. I mean, again, I have to compare it to other movies at the time, but like Neverending Story had a lot of stakes involved with it,
and plus was a cool style.
Yeah, and so yeah, this might have had promise, but the narrative didn't match up to what the style could have been.
That's fair. And I'm saying, like, I know you appreciate a good, like, you know, old school kind of effect thing, and that's sort of like my sub argument to give it a 1 here for me. Where does that leave you, Rich?
It was close.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's enough there for me to give it a 1.
All right, very nice. That switched you as well.
Do wish they had done something like instead of always using the workman that was hidden on the walls.
Sure, yeah.
I wish they would have switched it up to like. I wish they would have been like personalized.
a little Pennywise.
Yeah.
Literally personalized demons.
Personalize the demons a bit.
Sure.
Like maybe have like a zombified version of that dude that Al likes.
Or whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, I just think to me it holds up quite enough, like, in any, like.
That would have been actually great.
Yeah. Any, like, missteps I'm going to ship towards plot-wise, which I guess convinced you to a degree. But yeah, I still think it holds up well enough, so that's where we're calling it 1s. Very nice, which I had to cross out because we switched scores. And that will bring us on home to me, even though it should have been you, Rich. Recommendation. Actually, I'll let you speak first, since it's your pick. You recommend The Gate at the end of the day?
So the last time I watched this movie was for our inaugural Bad Movie Night. And
Yeah.
I stand by that decision.
Yeah.
Like this is
watchable.
It's a horror movie. Whether or not it's good, I'm going to leave up to your interpretation.
That's on you, yeah.
If you're listening to us, tear it to shreds. That's fine. I mean, it's got some good elements.
Yep.
And oh man, I'm kind of stuck in the middle. Like I can't like. There's not enough to make a drinking game out of it. There's not enough to.
I don't know, right? I was going to try to argue about that, but I'm saying if you give it a 1, this is very like sort of like whispering in your ear. If you give it a 1 to recommendation, it means you're giving it a dead even 5, which I think is about right as well. You know what I mean? If that helps you like sway it in any way.
I mean, like. It's fun. Like at the beginning of this, I wanted to recommend it.
Oh,
but as we've talked about this,
but you might not
pointed out, there are so many other movies that did bits of this movie better.
If you'd be giving it a 4, it's like I'm just saying, like, oh, I'm playing devil's advocate, little playing demon's advocate.
I'll let somebody else go.
You can't meta this.
All right, go ahead.
No, I can't recommend this.
Okay.
Actually, Rich, you stole my point to this. 1, you want to do a bad movie night? There's so many better ones out there. Both intentionally funny and not intentionally funny. If you want to do cool kind of animation, stop motion, things like that, there are better movies out there. Everything that this movie does, something did better, as you just said. So,
Who did it better?
It's not even good for comparison. I can find multiple examples of things that do it better.
It's almost like it's like those posts that keep floating around of like I gave an AI a bunch of horror movies and saw what it came up with.
Yes.
Well, before that was even a thing, but that is a really funny point, for sure. And I get it. I'm going to stick with a 1 again. I'm going to split my nostalgia, I guess, or bias conglomerately between what I just said about style and recommend. I'm going to and again, I've been stealing this from you, E, specifically, and we were all on the Escape from LA episode, so check that one out if you remember that, or go back and dig through our shit. It's just, literally, just weird enough to watch. It might be okay, depending on your taste here and there, to be an okay bad horror movie. Not going to be the best one you even do for something like that, but it might be just entertaining enough. And again, it goes by pretty quickly. It's less than an hour and a half even. So, it's not that big of a commitment. And
but it feels longer than
I don't think it does. To me, I felt like it was felt just as long as it is.
I don't know, man. It felt a little longer to me.
I get it, though. I totally get that from you guys, but for me, I was like, it's going through fine, whatever. So, yeah. That's how I'm going to come down. So, we'll just somewhat disagree. And it was a close, in my mind, how to balance this one out, but
and I kind of feel bad because it was my pick. I should be recommending it, but
listen, there's precedent.
After watching it,
Leprechaun.
Yeah.
So
there's precedent in which we this would be a good one for this theme, and we're like, well, no, right?
I also picked Leprechaun the Hood too.
Yeah.
Back to the Hood.
You fucked us over in 2 Leprechauns at this point.
That's true.
So all right, how about this? I would much rather watch The Gate again than fucking watch either Leprechaun that we watched.
That's actually...
That is accurate. I would watch this
So-
over Leprechaun.
Yep. So that's my final, like, little push over the edge for
This
it.
was somehow less offensive than that movie.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so I guess that'll do it. I'll give you the breakdowns. I've given it the highest with a 5, dead even. You guys gave it a 4 each. Mostly for the same... It's actually interesting. You flip back to 1 on a plot, or like bumped 1 down. I convinced you guys to give it a 1 to style. We all gave it a 0 as a dialogue. Antagonist, 0 as protagonist. We thought were like good enough.
I gave it 1 to dialogue.
Oh, you did? Yes, that's right. Because of the point away from plot. Like, you switch on that.
No,
No, that was for style.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I just think it's
I'm
the
fucking it all up,
best,
yeah.
best of kids' dialogue.
You gave it a 1 to plot, a 1 to protag, 1 to dialogue, 1 to style. And yeah, so that comes out. So that's 2 4s and a 5 gives a 4.5, which is like slightly, I believe, right? It's slightly above average. 14 or 13 divided by 3. 3 repeating.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, so it's about right. It's like a little bit undercooked, a little bit under average, but like just maybe, depending what you're in the mood for, what you feel, what you're interested in, might be worth a watch. But
Honestly, if you have a child who wants to start watching horror movies and you don't know what
to start with,
like what their horror gauge is, like if they're not going to be able to sleep, throw this one in.
yeah. Actually, I like that, Rich.
Or do what my parents did and just show me Gremlins when I'm like 4
That's a
years
good.
old.
Oh my god! Now we just found a better movie to introduce.
Or do them as a double feature.
Ooh.
That way you can't kind of go wrong, in a sense. You know, get the best of both worlds. But although I agree, of course, Gremlins is a better film than The Gate will ever be.
Gremlins is a good palate cleanser.
Yeah, good intro, right? So I think, yeah. Well, I think that'll do it for The Gate, MOTS-O-Ween 2020. Anybody else, any final thoughts or any things we missed? No, I'm gonna dig a hole back into hell myself. I've been Scott Thurlow, here with Richard Maurice Perry. Sorry. Getting a little drunk here. Demons are fucking with my mind.
It's all good. Yeah. Have a good night. Happy Halloween.
And Professor Jonathan E. Manzi.
I'm terror, baby.
Mm-hmm. And with that, we'll see you next time. Good night. Cheers.
Editing and engineering by Christopher Morgan. Music by Christopher Morgan. Check us out on YouTube and iTunes for the shows, and on Facebook and Twitter for updates.